Good morning class 10 students. I welcome you all on this virtual digital learning platform provided by Jagrati Classes. Today we are going to start our new chapter, that is chapter 4, Carbon and its Compounds. So this chapter is for class 10th. This is the chapter 4 and this is the first lecture of this chapter. The chapter is Carbon and its Compounds. So, as we have the pattern of study, first we'll see what do you mean and understand by the name of the chapter. What do you mean by this term, carbon? And the next term of importance is compounds. About carbons, I'll tell you in detail, and this carbon is of immense importance. The whole of chemistry is based on carbon. We can say that 90% of the chemistry has its basic or stands on the basic term carbon. And for the term compounds, I hope you have studied in your previous classes, that is class 9. You have studied the different types of compounds. What do you mean by elements, mixtures, compounds? So just giving you a brief idea about compounds. When different elements combine together in a fixed ratio, okay? The term of importance is in fixed ratio. Then it leads to the formation of compounds. But if different types of elements will join together in no definite ratio or in indefinite ratio, then compound would not be formed and you can simply say the product obtained is a mixture. So for compounds, when different elements join together in a fixed ratio, it is called compound. For example, H2O, that is water. If you want to make water, what can you do? Considering the number of atoms and considering their ratio, the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen as per the number would be 2:1. That is, if you combine 2 atoms of hydrogen with 1 atom of oxygen, you will get water. So for getting the desired compounds, the ratio should be kept fixed. If you do not keep the ratio fixed, if you take hydrogen and oxygen in the amount 2:2, then you will not get water and hydrogen peroxide or any other product would be formed. So for getting a definite compound, the ratio should be kept fixed. Now coming to our carbon, okay? So carbon, giving you an introduction. The first heading would be our introduction of carbon or introduction to carbon. Carbon is an element which is denoted by the symbol capital C. So carbon is denoted by the symbol of capital C. The next point is atomic number of carbon. Atomic number of carbon is 6. That is, I have discussed the periodic table. If you arrange the carbon in periodic table according to atomic number, then carbon would occupy the 6th position or the 6th rank. So the atomic number of carbon is 6th. Then third is the mass of carbon. The mass of carbon is taken to be 12 units, okay? This is the mass of one atom of carbon. It is taken to be 12 units. In the ending of the chapter, we will study about isotopes and isobars. There I will say that the mass of carbon can be 12 or the mass of carbon can be 13 also in some cases. But for the general information, you should remember that the general mass of carbon which is considered is 12 units. Then we say that now we'll skip the 4 point to the next slide. These were the 3 points. That is, the symbol of carbon is capital C. The atomic number of carbon is 6. And the mass of carbon is taken to be 12 units. Now the other properties of carbon. Carbon has 6 protons and 6 electrons. You know the atomic number symbolizes the number of protons and electrons present in a molecule or element. Okay, so because the atomic number of carbon is 6, carbon has 6 protons and 6 electrons. As we know, usually, not always, but usually the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. Now, these 6 electrons can be, the 6 protons are present where? These 6 protons will be present in the nucleus. Okay? We know, you have an idea, you have done in class 9 the different models for explaining the structure, like the Rutherford model, Thomson's model, Bohr model. So what we get is atom is spherical in shape. In the middle of the atom, we have our nucleus, and around the nucleus we have different shells, okay? And in these shells the electrons revolve. This darkened circle represents the nucleus. It is present in the center part or the middle part of the atom. This nucleus contains protons and neutrons. These protons and neutrons are in total called as nucleons. So we can say that we have nucleons which are present in our nucleus, and the electrons, that is the third subatomic particle. We have the 3 subatomic particles. Do you know that? Protons, electrons and neutrons. So 2 of them are present in the nucleus, and the third subatomic particle, that is electrons, they revolve in different shells or different orbits. Okay, these are called energy levels. The orbits, according to Bohr, these are because they possess a definite amount of energy. So these are known as the electrons revolve around the nucleus in definite path, which are known as orbits. So this is the arrangement of atoms. Now coming back to our carbon, as the atomic number of carbon is 6, that is carbon has 6 protons and 6 electrons. Now these 6 protons are present in the nucleus, and these 6 electrons, where they would be found? They would be found in different shells, and you know that these shells are named differently. The shell which is the first shell just away from the nucleus, the first shell is called K shell, and when you move away more farther from the nucleus, you have L shell, then comes the M shell, and the next shell would be N. The outermost shell would be your N shell. So these are the different names of the shells which are present in an atom. More shells may be present, but we'll confine our discussion to these because for this level only this much is sufficient. So these 6 electrons, these are present in the shells which are called energy levels. Now the next point what we have, we know that electrons are present in shells, and these electrons are arranged in different shells, that is k element shells. And according to the Bohr principle, we know the electronic configuration of carbon. Electronic configuration, first of all, ये term बहुत confusion करती है students को. Electronic configuration, what is this? It's quite seems difficult or complicated, but it's not difficult. Understand by breaking these terms. Electronic means electron, and this configuration means their arrangement. And you know the arrangement of electrons is simply or is hardly called electronic configuration. And these electrons are arranged in various shells. In K shell, maximum number of 2 electrons can be accommodated, and in the remaining shell, L, M, N shell, the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated or that can be occupied by are 8. Okay? So these shells can maximally be occupied by 8 electrons, and the K shell can occupy or can accommodate only 2 electrons, a maximum of 2 electrons. So if I try to arrange these 6 electrons in the various shells, what I get is, let's see, I am making the structure of carbon atom. So this would be my nucleus. Then I have 6 electrons. So I'll make a K shell. In this K shell, I'll arrange how many K shell can accommodate 2 electrons. So in this K shell, I'll draw 2 electrons. After drawing the 2 electrons from a total of 6, now we have 4 electrons still remaining with us. So I need another shell. This would be our L shell. I have filled the K shell with 2 electrons. Now it's time to fill the L shell. And how many electrons can come in L shell? A maximum of 8 electrons. Okay, but I have 6 electrons, just में से 2 I have filled in the K shell. Now remaining 4 I can easily fill in my L shell. So these will be the remaining 4 electrons in the L shell. So the electronic configuration, that is the arrangement of electron in the carbon atom, would be 2 in the K shell and remaining 4 in the L shell, which is written as follows. The electronic configuration is written as 2 electrons in the K shell, comma, you have the remaining 4 electrons in your L shell. Now we know, you know a rule which is called octet rule. Octet rule states that any atom to be stable or to exist independently means the same, to be stable. So any atom, if it needs to be stable, the arrangement of electrons in the K shell should be a maximum of 2, or in the remaining shell or the outermost shell, the maximum number of electrons present should be 8. Okay, this is what octet rule means. I am repeating the rule once more. Octet rule states that for any atom to be stable, the maximum number of electrons in its valence shell should be 8. So is the name called octet. Octet means 8. So the maximum of 8 electrons should be present in the valence shell of atoms for stability. And what is this valence shell? Which shell is called valence shell? Valence shell is decided according to the atom of what you are talking about. Valence shell is the outermost shell of that atom. For, let's take an example of carbon. For carbon, the outermost shell is which shell? L shell. Okay, for carbon we have 2 shells, K shell and L shell, and this L is the outermost shell. So this L shell would be the valence shell for carbon. But you take any other example. Let's suppose you have one more shell here and 1 electron in this shell. Then the outermost shell or valence shell would be the third shell. I'm just trying to explain you what do you mean by the terms valence shell. I want you to clear all your concepts and reasons behind everything you study, each and every point, okay? No need to cram up the things. And in fact, the students forget to write in the octet rule, they simply write that number of electrons should be 8. In which, where the number of electrons should be 8? In the valence shell. And what do you mean by the valence shell? Valence shell is not any particular name given to a shell. It is the outermost shell which can vary from atom to atom. So this is what we have, valence shell. And the electronic configuration of carbon is 2 electrons accommodated in the K shell and the remaining 4 electrons accommodated in the L shell. Now the 6th point is what? To attain stability according to octet rule. Octet rule says that in the outermost shell we should have 8 electrons. But here for carbon we have 4 valence electrons. 4 valence electrons are present in carbon. So as per octet rule, the carbon is unstable. To attain stability, it has 2 possible ways. Okay? And this term, that is 4 valence electron. Valence means electrons present in the outermost shell. Valence jahan hai matlab outermost. So 4 valence electrons are present in carbon. So carbon is also called tetravalent in nature. If you are asked a question, why carbon is called tetravalent? Tetravalent means, tetra means 4 and valent means valence electrons. So because carbon has 4 valence electrons, it is called tetravalent. Now this was the introduction for carbon, and the basic introduction for carbon is that carbon is of immense importance because carbon is found everywhere around us. Carbon is found in the clothes, in medicines, okay, in fuels, the books you study, the papers, everything is made up of carbon. Then carbon is also found in the living organisms. All living organisms are composed of carbon. Carbon is also found in air in the form of carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide is 0.03% of the total air volume. Then carbon is also found in our Earth's crust. In Earth's crust, 0.02% of carbon is found, and it is found in various forms. It is found in the form of carbonate, or it is also present in the form of hydrogen carbonate, which you can say as bicarbonates. So this is the general introduction, that why we are studying about carbon and not any other element, because carbon holds a very special place in chemistry, and this is of immense importance. This is found in maximum amount in our surroundings and nature. Now we'll see the different properties of carbon. Okay. Now we studied in the previous slide about electronic configuration of carbon, and you know that electronic configuration is 2, 4. That is 2 electrons in the K shell and 4 electrons in the L shell. Now for attaining stability, as per octet rule, the maximum number of electrons in the valence shell should be 8. So for making this 4 equal to 8, what carbon can do? Carbon has 2 possibilities. The first possibility is it can take 4 electrons, and the next one would be it can donate the 4 electrons which it has. So it would be stable according to octet rule. If it donates these 4 electrons, then its configuration would be 2. And you know, if it takes 4 electrons, then the configuration would be, if I add 4 electrons, then I would get 2, 8, which would be definitely stable as per the octet rule. So if any element takes 4 electron, it gains 4 electron. We have discussed in earlier classes, the ion formed is called anion, because electron is negatively charged, and if anything is accepting the negative charge, then it would get a negative charge on itself. So carbon will form C4 minus ion, and this is called anion. If this carbon donates the 4 electron, it will form C4 plus cation. Okay? Cation because it is positively charged, anion because it is a negatively charged ion. So these are the 2 possibilities of taking and giving electrons with the carbon. But these both possibilities do not work out, and carbon cannot follow both these possibilities. The drawbacks present behind both these possibilities is what? If it wanted to donate 4 electrons, then high amount of energy is required. High amount of energy is required for the removal or donation of 4 electrons, and this energy can't be easily taken from the surroundings or from any other external source. So this possibility is ruled out, that is, carbon cannot easily donate 4 electrons. The next possibility, that it can take 4 electrons or gain 4 electrons. The problem with this is that if it takes 4 electrons, then the number of protons in carbon will be 6. Remember, there is no change in the number of protons. But if it takes 4 electrons, then the total number of electrons with carbon would be 10 electrons. And these 6 protons can't hold the 10 electrons efficiently. So carbon would incorporate the loose binding, and it would remain unstable. So this possibility also doesn't work out when talking about carbon. So if both these possibilities are not possible, then how come bonding is shown by carbon? So a new term is introduced here under the heading bonding in carbon. This implies that carbon cannot take 4 electrons or it cannot lose 4 electrons. So the bonding in carbon is of the nature covalent. We say carbon forms a covalent bond. What do you mean by covalent bond? Covalent ka matlab, this co term implies sharing. Okay? Valent term means valence electrons, and bond is just a linkage or a connecting link. So bonding shown by carbon is of the nature of covalent type, or covalent bond is formed by carbon. That is a linkage or bond formed by sharing of valence electrons. Okay? So this is the type of bond which is observed in carbon, a covalent kind of bond. Now a question may occur in exams that what is the difference between ionic and covalent bonding or covalent bonds. So we'll see some points of difference for ionic and covalent bonds. Let's write ionic and a differentiating column with covalent. The basic point of difference is ionic bond is formed by exchange or transfer of electrons, while this covalent bond is formed by sharing of electrons. Okay, in this mutual sharing of electrons occur and covalent bond is formed, while to form an ionic bond, one species can completely lose its electrons and the other one gains electrons, and in turn exchange or transfer is formed ionic bond, or exchange or transfer forms an ionic bond. The next is the species which donates electron is called cation, and the species which accepts electrons is called anion. So we can say that in ionic bonds or in ionic compound, cation and anion are involved. Whereas in covalent compound, no cation and anion are involved. We do not have any cation or any anion. Then the next topic of comparison would be ionic compounds or ionic bonded compounds. They show dissociation into ions. Dissociation into ions. That is, if you take any ionic compound, you dissolve it in water or you melt it, the ionic compound will break into its cation and anion. If I take an ionic compound AB and if I dissolve it in water, then I would get A plus and B minus. This is what dissociation means. Dissociation means breakdown in the presence of water. So whenever you dissolve an ionic compound in water or any other solvent, this ionic compound breaks into its constituent ions. Whereas covalent compound, it does not show any kind of dissociation into ions or into any other particular substances. The next point would be, because these ionic compounds dissociate, or you can say these ionic compounds get ionized. Ionized also means the same as dissociation. So they conduct heat and electricity. Ionic compound conduct electricity. That is, they are good conductors of heat and electricity, while covalent compounds are poor conductors. These are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Ionic bond is a stronger bond. That is, ionic compounds have strong forces of attraction. Ionic compounds possess stronger forces of attraction between their ions. While a covalent bond, which is formed by mutual sharing of electrons, is a comparatively weaker bond. Okay, this covalent bond is comparatively weaker than ionic bond. Then these ionic compounds, they have high melting points and boiling points, while these covalent compounds have significantly lower melting and boiling points. So we have discussed much points of difference between the ionic and covalent compounds. And the question would be definitely asked, what is the difference between ionic and covalent compound? And you should understand, because we are dealing now in this chapter with covalency, that is, carbon exhibits covalent bonding. I have again given you the reason why carbon cannot form ionic compounds. This is again a very favorite question, that why carbon don't form ionic compound. And this, the reason which we have discussed in the previous slides, okay, that why carbon cannot form an ionic compound, the answer to this is because it can't take 4 electrons and it can also not donate 4 electrons because of the reasons already explained. So if it cannot exchange, that is, if it cannot donate 4 electrons and if it cannot take 4 electrons, it does not form a ionic compound. And because carbon doesn't form ionic compound, it forms what we call it a covalent compound. Now we'll see that what do you mean by covalent bond or covalent compound. Covalent bond means a bond. Bond means a linkage. When any two atoms, elements or groups are linked together, connected together, we call it a bond. And bond is shown by a straight line. So covalent bond is a type of bond in which, okay, we'll write a bond which is formed by mutual sharing of valence electrons. Such bond is referred to as a covalent bond. A bond which is formed by mutual sharing means sharing between two species or two atoms. Okay? So, a bond formed by mutual sharing of valence electrons, and valence electrons I have told you many times, that is the electrons present in outermost shell are called valence electrons. So the definition of covalent bond is quite clear, I guess, that covalent bond is a type of bond which is formed by mutual sharing of valence electrons. Now these covalent bonds can be of different types. Types of covalent bond. We can classify the covalent bond into three types. That is, we can have a single covalent bond, or you can have double covalent bond, and the maximum, that is a triple covalent bond. This is also called triple bond in short. Okay? No need to write covalent here because triple bonding is only of covalent nature. This could also be known as a double bond simply. Double bond means the double covalent bond. Now, starting with the points of difference, single covalent bond. Single covalent bond is represented by a single line between two atoms, whereas double and triple covalent bonds are represented by double line between the atoms, and triple bond is represented by three straight lines between two atoms. These three lines signifies that here three covalent bonds are formed between A and B. Okay? So these are the representation of single, double and triple covalent bond. Now the compounds which have single covalent bond, one bond signifies that two electrons are shared. Okay? One bond can be made, that is, if A shares its one electron with the one electron of B, we will get one bond. In case of double bond, if A shares its two electrons with the two electrons of B, these dots represent electron. You can also depict electron by showing crosses. So if I have two electrons of A and two electrons of B, then the total electrons would be 4. But the covalent bonds would be 2. Because between two electrons, if you have two valence electrons, then you have a single covalent bond. If I say you have 6 valence electrons, then how many covalent bonds would be formed? Just pause the video and answer me. The question is, if you have 6 valence electrons in any compounds, how many bonds would be formed? Like if you had 2 valence electrons, how many bonds were formed? A single bond. Now you have 6, then how many bonds would be formed? You would get 3 covalent bonds. That is, the number of bonds formed is half the number of valence electrons. Or the reverse is also true, that number of bonds formed show double the number of electrons. And for triple covalent bonds, you have the 6 valence electrons, and in turn you have 3 bonds. So this is what single, double and triple covalent bond signifies. In the single covalent bond, 2 electrons are being shared. Okay? You are easily able to see that for the formation of single covalent bond, we require sharing of 2 electrons. For the formation of double covalent bond, total, how many electrons are shared? 4 electrons are shared. And for the formation of triple covalent bond, we have a total of 6 shared electrons. So this is what you understand by the formation of single, double and triple covalent bond. The example for single covalent bond would be hydrogen. In hydrogen, we'll discuss the structure, then you will be able to understand why only 2 electrons are shared, how come a single covalent bond is formed. For the sake of time, you can remember that single covalent bond is found in hydrogen, double covalent bond is found in oxygen, and this triple covalent bond can be found in nitrogen. That is, 2 nitrogen atoms are joined together or attached together by means of 3 covalent bonds, and in turn a total number of 6 electrons or 6 valence electrons are shared between these 2 nitrogen atoms. So this is what the types of covalent bond and the definition of covalent bond. Okay? Now we'll study our next topic, that is electron dot structure. It is very important. The topic which we are starting now is the electron dot structure. Electron dot structure means, in this you draw the structure of the given elements or compounds by depicting electrons, and here the electrons which are used is valence electrons. Now let's take, this is not any theoretical topic, so we'll do directly the examples, okay? You do not have any definitions in it. It's just that the electrons are depicted using symbols, that is, either you can put a dot or you can put a cross for the electrons. Now first let's take the simplest example, starting with the simple element, that is hydrogen. Hydrogen is H2. That is, in one hydrogen molecule we have 2 atoms of hydrogen. Now for drawing the electron dot structure, what we do is, we make one hydrogen. As we have H2 here, so there would be 2 electrons of hydrogen. And you know, the symbol of one atom of hydrogen is H. And the atomic number of hydrogen is 1. It signifies that this is the atomic number of hydrogen. This is the atomic number of hydrogen. And the number of electrons present in hydrogen is 1. That is, a single electron is present in hydrogen. Okay? Now what we have is, in this hydrogen we have a single electron. Similar would be the case with the next hydrogen, that it would possess a single electron. To attain stability, what we want is, we want 2 electrons. According to octet rule, we already studied, for stability a maximum of 2 electrons should be present in K shell, and a maximum of 8 electrons should be present in L, M and N shells. So for stability, this has only 1 electron in the K shell. So what we'll do, this hydrogen shares its 1 electron with the 1 electron present with the surrounding hydrogen, and it attains stability. Now this hydrogen has how many total electrons? It has 2 electrons. This circle represents that this hydrogen present inside the circle contains these 2 electrons. Similar would be the case with the next hydrogen. This hydrogen, we'll make a circle, we'll include our hydrogen element, atom, then we'll include its first electron which is already with this hydrogen, and it would take this atom, it would actually not take, it would share this electron of the next hydrogen. So now this hydrogen represented by the black circle gains 2 electrons, and the hydrogen represented by the blue circle also has 2 electrons, and as per octet rule, the presence of 2 electrons in the K shell is stable, okay? So the hydrogen attains stability, and in turn hydrogen exists as H2 and not as H. This question is asked many times in exams, why hydrogen exists in H2 form? So you can say because of the sharing and gaining of stability, this hydrogen occurs in H2 form. Now next we can discuss the electronic structure of oxygen. For discussing the electronic structure of oxygen, the first thing which you should know is the symbol of oxygen. The symbol of oxygen is capital O. The atomic number, then write the atomic number. atomic number of oxygen is 8. Okay, we have the symbol of oxygen as capital O and the atomic number as 8. So if I write the electronic configuration, that is arrangement of these atomic number means the number of electrons. So oxygen has how many electrons? It has 8 electrons. Okay, and the electronic configuration, arrange these. I hope you can do this easily now. Arrange these 8 electrons of oxygen in the different shells. So firstly, you will arrange 2 electrons in the K shell. Now taking out 2 electrons, how many electrons are left? 8 may say if you arranged 2 electrons in your K shell, then the remaining electron 8 minus 2 gives 6. Now the remaining 6 electrons would be present in L shell. So this is the electronic configuration of oxygen. So for drawing the electron dot structure, the first thing, write the symbol, then its atomic number. Atomic number tells you the number of electrons, and then write its electronic configuration. After following these 3 steps, what you do is, you make the symbol of the element or atom. The symbol is O. So draw O here. Then write the valence electron. Valence means the electrons present in the last shell or the outermost shell. So we have 6 electrons here. So we'll depict these 6 electrons, and I told you while drawing the electron dot structure, electrons can be shown with the help of putting dots, or you can put crosses. So now using dot, I can make these 6 electrons 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. So this is the symbol of oxygen O, and these are the valence electron. Always remember, while drawing the dot structure, only the valence electrons are included. Nothing other is included. Draw the valence electron near the symbol. Now in turn, this has 6 electrons. According to octet rule, for stability it needs 8 electrons. So what it will do? It will take or share 2 electrons. So we'll draw one more oxygen atom here, represented by the symbol capital O. And for this, I'll draw the electrons with a different color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because every oxygen atom will have how many valence electron? 6 valence electron. This is clear. Now, this has 6 valence electron, and its need to share how many? 2 valence electron. So how it would share? Start to draw a circle. The circle includes this, our sharing circle. This is called the sharing circle. Okay. Then this circle includes the symbol of the element should be present inside the circle. Then the electrons which are already present should also be included. So we have started drawing the circle which contains the symbol of the element and the respective electrons. Now it needs how many electrons more? It needs 2 more electrons. So these 2 electrons are also included in this circle of oxygen. Now while continuing the structure of this, the procedure would be same. The sharing circle would include the oxygen atom, the symbol and the electrons. Now we have 6 electrons and we need 2 more electrons which would be exchanged or which would be shared with the neighboring oxygen atom. So this structure can be, and the atom or the electron which is shared. This shared electron, the shared electron belongs to both atoms of oxygen. Remember this point, that the electrons which are being shared, it belongs to both electrons, or it belongs to both atoms. That is, we can draw, we have 2 oxygen atoms here. The electrons shared are 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these electrons can be depicted in the center, the 4 electrons. And the next electrons would be as initially similar. So this would be our electron dot structure of oxygen. And as you can see that 4 electrons are shared, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So how many bonds would be present? We would have 2 bonds. So oxygen is a diatomic molecule, that is, it exists in the form of O2. And in oxygen, double covalent bond is present. So this was all about the electron dot structure of oxygen. Now in the next video lectures, we'll do more about the structures, that is, we'll study the structure of nitrogen, ammonia, acetylene and many more, okay? So till that, if you have any doubt in this chapter, please do practice these concepts of electron dot structure, or else you will find it difficult. And if you will practice, this is the easiest concept of the chapter. For writing the electron dot structure, you have to write the symbol, then write its atomic number and the electronic configuration. After writing the electronic configuration, the valence electron which you get, you arrange these valence electron near the symbols. And then you do the sharing according to octet rule. You complete its 8 electrons. And I said that these shared electrons do not belong. This shared electron is neither belonging to this first oxygen atom, neither to this. This is equally belonging to both. So because these electrons are shared and it is equally belonging to both, I have mentioned these electrons in between. It is at equivalent distance from both the atoms, okay? So this is all about the electron dot structure of oxygen. If you have any doubts, you can ask any time. Thank you for joining the class. Thank you.